Good afternoon. I'm talking about imaging for retinal vascular occlusions. Now, vascular occlusions include a plethora of conditions starting from CRVO to BRVO, hemispherical and hemicentral vascular occlusions, a macular BRVO, a papillophlebitis, and central retinal and branched retinal artery occlusion. Imaging is important in all these conditions, not just to confirm the diagnosis, but also to decide on the type of treatment as well as to give a prognosis to the patients. Now, let's take them one by one. Now, a central retinal vascular occlusion, as we know, can be ischemic or non-ischemic. Ischemic is the less common type, where there is a sudden loss of vision, extensive hemorrhages, posterior pole edema, and cotton wool spots. And non-ischemic is the milder form, but the more common form, where there are very few cotton wool spots, few hemorrhages, few dilated tortuous vessels, as in this case. And both may be associated with macular edema, which would be picked up on OCT. Now, if we see the imaging techniques, these would be an angiography and an OCT. An angiography in the early stage will show a delayed venous filling. Because of autoregulation, there would be dilated vessels. Then there would be a macular edema. Then there can be hypofluorescence corresponding to hemorrhages, either flame-shaped or blot and dot, depending on the type of hemorrhages. In the later phases, there will be a patchy extravascular fluorescence because of the dye leakage. There would be microaneurysms, a macular edema, and if it's a late manifestation, then CNP areas, NVT, NVE. This is a picture of macular edema. Now, in ischemic type of CRVO, typically there will be extensive areas of capillary non-perfusion. And this is used for classifying edema. Now, if there are more than 10 disc diameters of areas of CNP, then it's an ischemic CRVO. And if there are less than 10 disc diameters of area of CNP, then this is a non-ischemic CRVO. Again, you can differentiate these two and prognosticate it to the patients. If it's a recent non-ischemic CRVO, on FFA you'll find staining of vessels, but a good capillary perfusion. And in an old case, you would find macular edema along with shunt vessels. OCT is required in these cases of vascular occlusion to detect macular edema, which may be many times obscured because of hemorrhages. And in such cases, not just gross edema, OCT can also diagnose very subtle edemas. And obviously, it is a very important tool for monitoring treatment. It will also detect a serous detachment at the macula, which may otherwise be missed. And again, this is required to give a prognosis to the patient. Now, this is a study which shows that OCT in CRVO can be used as a predictor of final visual acuity. It was found that whenever the macular thickness was more than 700 microns, then the final visual acuity was 20 by 200 in 75% cases, and it never reached 20 by 40. So whenever the central retinal thickness of the macula is more than 700 microns, you would give a very guarded prognosis to such a patient, and you know that this patient will not gain back a very good vision. Case of CRVO with macular edema on the left side, treated with intravitreal injection of Ozurdex on the right side, the retina became flat within 10 days. At 4th month, there was a recurrence on the left lower side, and on the right lower side, again the retina became flat. So this is how OCT is helpful. So in this case, 4 injections of Ozurdex were given, and every 3 to 4 months, the edema was recurring. And then it was also combined with laser, and finally the retina became flat. Coming to BRVO, BRVO is basically because the artery and the vein share a common adventitial sheath, and whenever the artery becomes rigid and arteriosclerotic, it compresses the vein, resulting in turbulent flow, endothelial damage, thrombus, and occlusion. Now, this is a typical picture with intraretinal hemorrhages, most commonly at the supratemporal arcade, and occasionally cotton wool spots. If it's a recent BRVO, you'll find hypofluorescence corresponding to hemorrhage, sometimes CNP areas. And in an old BRVO, you'll find tortuous collaterals, which are seen clinically, also confirmed by FA, and you may find clinically exudates or residual heme. In a chronic BRVO, you would see shunt vessels, and along with that, you may see the sclerotic vessel, which has a delayed filling on angiography. or rather no filling on angiography. Then there's a condition called macular BRVO or limited BRVO. In this, clinically, you would just see a small hemorrhage at the center of the macula. But when you do an FFA, then you find that there is a leakage but no neovascularization. So you would not see actually a blockade of the vessel, but the small hemorrhage and a small leakage on angiography would suggest that it's a macular BRVO. Then in chronic BRVO, you would find areas of capillary non-perfusion, and if they are extending up to the macula, again, this patient doesn't have a very good prognosis. Now, in some cases, there may be an enlargement of FAZ, as in this case, but no leakage of the macula, and this will help you in deciding that you don't have to do any grid laser in this case. So, another thing that you look for in cases of BRVO is NBT, and this is seen in 10% of eyes with BRVO, 20%, in 20% cases NBE is seen. So this is also what you look for, apart from areas of capillary non-perfusion, and this helps you in the management of your case. Because this is how you manage based on your investigations. Initially, if you find that there's a macular edema on OCT or FFA or both, then you give an intravitreal steroid or an anti-VEGF. Wait for 3 months, allow the hemorrhages to clear up, and then you look for any areas of CNP or macular edema. If there is a macular edema, do a laser, and you may combine with an anti-VEGF or steroid. If there are CNP, then no laser. And if there is more than 5 diameters of CNP, follow every 4 months for neovascularization, which means that if there is only CNP, you will not do a laser, but if you find there is a neovascularization, then only you do a laser. And these are the recommendations of the BRVO study group also. Now, if you come to CRO, the commonest cause is embolism from the carotid artery or the heart, and these are the various type of emboli that may be seen. Cholesterol emboli called Hollenhorst plaques, fibrin platelets, or calcific emboli. So that's the clinical picture: sudden, severe, painless loss of vision with an edematous retina, retinal artery narrowing, and cherry red spot. And in the end stages, there may be a permanent loss of vision also, if not treated within 90 minutes of time. In these cases, in 33% of cases, there may be a patent cilioretinal artery which is responsible for a good vision despite the presence of this occlusion. And this may be evident, as in this case, very nicely. Sometimes it is not so evident, and it becomes evident only on angiography, where there is a slow filling of the retinal circulation, but a normal filling of the cilioretinal artery as well as the choroid. OCT is important in a CRAO because this will show that the inner retinal layers which have an edema become hyperreflective, as in this picture, but the outer retinal layers they show a hyporeflectivity because they are blocked by the inner retina. In a chronic phase, OCT again becomes important because inner retinal layer may become atrophic, and then this blocked fluorescence goes off, and you may see a normal outer retina. On angiography, obviously there is a delayed arterial filling, normal choroidal flush, and there is a late filling due to a retrograde flow from the veins. Carotid Doppler is another important investigation in CRO because you would find plaques in the carotid artery in 71% of cases in CRO and 66% of cases in BRAO. And these may be the cause of emboli, and in fact they can be treated. So for this you have to refer to a cardiologist. ERG is again important in CRO since it is affecting only the inner retinal layers. Therefore, there will be a B wave attenuation, that is a negative B wave form. And if both A and B wave attenuation occurs, then this suggests that there is an outer retinal damage also, which means there is an ophthalmic artery blockade. This we can skip. Then branched retinal artery occlusion is when one small artery is only blocked, and this becomes quite evident on clinical picture as well as FFE. Then the newer investigation that we need to talk about is OCT angiography because it is non-invasive and it acquires volumetric angiographic information without the use of dye, that is, it is dyeless. So we circumvent all the side effects of dye. Now, this would give some typical pictures on vascular occlusions, as in BRAO, it would show areas of In BRAO, it would show areas of capillary non-perfusion as here and here, and and these red areas are basically areas of thickening and which correspond with the edema, and these blue areas are the area of thinning. Again, this is a case of subacute CRAO, where you can see that there is a diffusely a decrease in peripapillary perfusion, and only here in this case, only the large retinal vessels are showing perfusion, and on angiography you will find that all vessels are attenuated, and similarly in the red-free photograph. Case of BRVO, where you will find that there are supratemporally there are areas of capillary non-perfusion, and correspondingly you will also find retinal thickening in the superior area corresponding to edema. So in summary, imaging is important for accurate diagnosis, treatment, as well as prognosis in vascular occlusions. Thank you.